We want to bring into the conversation Fox 35 Orlando reporter Matt Trezza. He's been on this story today with a closer look. Matt, thanks for being with us. What exactly is going on here? Get our viewers up to speed about how this all started.
Well, basically, there's this new course. It's called AP African American Studies. It's an advanced placement course for high school students, but one that is considered a college-level course, gives students college credit. And throughout the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis thinks this is part of a woke curriculum, a woke agenda. He keeps using that word, and that he doesn't want certain parts of the course to be brought, to be introduced as part of this new curriculum. So the Education Department of the state of Florida has labeled out 6 sections of the course that are violating the state's new education law, which is called which people refer to as the Stop Woke Act. And if those 6 sections are changed by the College Board, which oversees the AP test, then there is the possibility that the course may be introduced throughout the state of Florida. But as things stand right now, the state is currently rejecting it. Take a look. Attorney Ben Crump made the announcement in Tallahassee this afternoon.
He does not negotiate with the College Board to allow AP African American Studies to be taught in the classrooms across the state of Florida, that these 3 young people will be the lead plaintiffs in a historic lawsuit.
Crump and his supporters want to make sure that all Florida high schoolers are able to take the college-level course, and they had strong words for Ron DeSantis, whose administration has rejected the advanced placement course.
By rejecting the African American History Pilot Program, Ron DeSantis has clearly demonstrated that he wants to dictate whose story does and doesn't belong.
The governor's office has objected to certain parts of the proposed course that his office has decried as being woke. They specifically point out 6 sections of the curriculum they say go against state education law. These are intersectionality and activism, Black queer studies, movements for Black lives, Black feminist literary thought, the reparations movement, and Black study and Black struggle in the 21st century.
I do think that it's important that we stick to teaching children the facts about African American history and not certain ideologies that we see being interwoven into that curriculum as it has been proposed.
Now, again, the College Board is the organization that oversees advanced placement programs, and this is considered still a pilot program, only currently being rolled out in 60 high schools before it gets rolled out nationwide. So there's still changes that could be made, and for their part, state officials say there are still ways that the course could be changed in order to satisfy the education requirements for the state of Florida, and it could be then taught here in the state. But as of now, the DeSantis administration is still rejecting it.
All right, Matt Trezza, as always, we appreciate your time with this story. Thanks for bringing it to us, and we'll talk again. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Okay, we do want to get just a little bit more as well from our Fox 13 Tampa team. Craig Patrick also explores this issue there in the state. Let's listen.
Well, Florida has drawn controversy and national attention for banning a class on African American studies. Well, today, the governor and the state education department provided more details on why they rejected the AP course from being taught in state high schools. Fox 13 political editor Craig Patrick in now to explain. Craig?
Well, for background, this is a new class that students in Florida could have taken if it hadn't been banned. It's an advanced placement course in high school, meaning if they passed a test at the end of the year, they could have gotten college credit for it. But this state says that it banned this. It first said from Florida schools, the claim that it's inappropriate and has no educational value.
This course on Black history, what's one of the lessons about? Queer theory.
Well, here the state is referring to a lesson on Black queer studies that includes readings from Yale professor Roderick Ferguson. We found some of his writings on the topic, and they cover the gay rights movement in the Black community, which he describes as more than a single-minded focus in the fight for sexual freedom. The governor and State Department of Education also flagged a lesson on the topic of movements for Black lives.
If you read actually what's in there, they're advocating things like abolishing prisons. Now that's a radical political position.
Here they appear to be citing a statement from a group called the Movement for Black Lives that states prisons that inflict violence against blacks must be abolished. The DeSantis administration also flagged lessons on the topics of activism and intersectionality. That's the premise that society and government policy can drive lasting systemic racial and economic inequality. Here the state cited readings from Robin D.G. Kelly. He's the chair of the history department at UCLA. The state asserts that he argues that activism, rather than the university system, is the catalyst for social transformation. We don't know the context, but on its face, that's a statement that our civil rights pioneers, including Dr. King, would appear to agree with.
Racial injustice and economic injustice cannot be solved without a radical redistribution of political and economic power.
The governor said his administration has different standards for teaching African American history, which he describes as teaching the basics.
That's what our standards for Black history are. It's just cut and dried history. You learn all the basics, you learn about the great figures.
And the AP College Board states this is more, or in Florida would have been more than just a class on African American history, that it would have covered other ground too, from African American literature, the arts, humanities, culture, etc. And in a statement, the AP Board, which governs and basically creates these classes, states that students in this class are never required to agree with a particular opinion or adopt a particular ideology, but they are expected to analyze different perspectives. Again, this is or would have been an AP class, a college-level class offered to high school students who would have chosen to take it, again, if Florida would have allowed it.
Okay, Craig, well, the DeSantis administration says that this African American Studies course violates state law, too. How so?
Well, you do have the relatively new state law that drew controversy last year that bans discussion of sexual orientation or gender identity in schools. Now, those who passed it say it generally deals with students in lower grade levels, K through third grade. However, there's a clause that states it can be any grade in high school if not deemed age or developmentally appropriate. Who does the deeming? That ultimately could be left to the state to make a determination, which is where the state could construe this particular course to be illegal, again with a lesson that the governor cited on queer studies. Now, you also have a ban on what's called critical race theory, which technically does not exist in Florida public schools, but the state defines it as curriculum that gets into systemic racism that can make students feel guilt or discomfort because of their race and because of the content covered in this class. That can be construed under the law of Florida as being illegal as well.
Okay, well, as it is for now, the students in high school students in Florida will not be able to take this AP class in African American Studies. Okay, thank you, Craig.
All right, we thank Fox 13 in Tampa. So it does look like the College Board and the state of Florida kind of at an impasse. College Board isn't budging on making those modifications. The state is requesting to comply with that law. So very interesting story there out of the Sunshine State.